and we will be reading the Bible. And we're reading Joshua 6 through 12.
Then we gotta come back again.
So we will probably put a couple of these premiered out since the next couple of days we normally don't read the Bible, but we're behind.
Busy life last week.
Sorry, you all, and sorry, God. I'm sorry. And so we are starting tonight. That's where we're at. And we're going to go ahead and push through and thank the Lord that we have the ability to read and keep going. So just give you guys heads up about that.
I made it. You did. You made it for real.
So you want to pray and I will start us off reading.
God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all that you've done. Why did you look at that page? God, we ask that you just continue to work in us and through us. And God, we ask that you give us the words, give us the discernment, God. Give us the thoughts that we need in order to just express the words that you have for us and just be able to talk and discuss on what those things may be. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So we are going to start at Joshua 6, and I will read it. I will start that reading process off. I'm just going to get behind you a little bit, and you can get in, scoot in. There we go. Okay. Just making room. Okay. Making my way in the Bible. Okay. Anyways,
Okay.
Now Jericho was tightly shut up because of the Israelites. No one went out and no one came in. And the Lord said to Joshua, "Behold, I have delivered Jericho into your hand, along with its king and its mighty men of valor. March around the city with all the men of war, circling the city one time. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry 7 ram's horns in front of the ark. Then on the 7th day, march around the city 7 times while the priests blow the horns. And when there is a long blast of the ram's horn and you hear it sound, have all the people give a mighty shout. Then the wall of the city will collapse, and all your people will charge straight into the city." So Joshua son of Nun summoned the priests and said, "Take up the ark of the covenant and have 7 priests carry 7 ram's horns in front of the ark of the Lord." And he told the people, "Advance and march around the city with the armed troops going ahead of the ark of the Lord." After Joshua had spoken to the people, 7 priests carrying 7 ram's horns before the Lord advanced and blew the horns, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. While the horns continued to sound, the armed troops marched ahead of the priests who blew the horns, and rear guard followed the ark. But Joshua had commanded the people, "Do not give a battle cry or let your voice be heard. Do not let one word come out of your mouth until the day I tell you to shout. Then you are to shout." So he had the ark of the Lord carried around the city, circling it once, and the people returned to the camp and spent the night there. Joshua got up early the next morning, and the priests took the ark of the Lord. And the 7 priests carrying 7 ram's horns kept marching ahead of the ark of the Lord and blowing the horns. The armed troops went in front of them, and the rear guard followed the ark of the Lord, while the Lords kept sounding. So on the second day, they marched around the city once and returned to camp. They did this for 6 days. Then on the 7th day, they got up at dawn and marched around the city 7 times in the same manner. That was the only day they circled the city 7 times. After the 7th time around, the priests blew the horns, and Joshua commanded the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. Now, the city and everything in it must be devoted to the Lord for destruction. Only Rahab the prostitute and all those with her in her house will live, because she hid the spies we sent. But keep away from the things devoted to destruction, lest you yourself be set apart for destruction. If you take any of these, you will set apart the camp of Israel for destruction and bring disaster upon it. For all the silver and gold and all the articles of bronze and iron are holy to the Lord. They must go into his treasury. So when the ram's horn sounded, the people shouted. When they heard the blast of the horn, the people gave a great shout, and the wall collapsed. Then all the people charged straight into the city and captured it. With the edge of the sword, they devoted to destruction everything in the city, man and woman, young and old, oxen and sheep and donkeys. Meanwhile, Joshua told the two men who had spied out the land, "Go into the house of the prostitute and bring out the woman and all who are with her, just as you promised." So the young spies went in and brought out Rahab, her father and mother and brothers, and all who belonged to her. They brought out her whole family and settled them outside the camp of Israel. Then the Israelites burned up the city and everything in it. However, they put the silver and gold and articles of bronze and iron into the treasury of the Lord's house. And Joshua spared Rahab the prostitute with her father's household and all who belonged to her, because she hid the men Joshua had sent to spy out Jericho. So she lived among the Israelites to this day. At that time, Joshua invoked this solemn oath: "Cursed before the Lord is the man who rises up and rebuilds the city Jericho. At the cost of his firstborn, he will lay its foundations. At the cost of his youngest, he will set up its gates." So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout the land. We're now going into the 7th chapter. If you want to scoot in a little bit farther, there you go. There you go. Woo woo.
The Israelites, however, acted unfaithfully regarding the things devoted to destruction. Achan, son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, took some of what was set apart. So the anger of the Lord burned against the Israelites. Meanwhile, Joshua sent men from Jericho into Ai, which is near Beth-aven, to the east of Bethel, and told them, "Go up and spy out the land." So the men went up and spied out Ai. On returning to Joshua, they reported, "There is no need to send all the people. 2,000 or 3,000 men are enough to go up and attack Ai, since the people of Ai are so few, and you need not wear out all our people there." So about 3,000 men went up, but they fled before the men of Ai, and the men of Ai struck down about 36 of them, chasing them from the gate as far as the quarries, and striking them down on the slopes, so the hearts of the people melted and became like water. Then Joshua tore his clothes and fell face down before the ark of the Lord until evening, as did the elders of Israel, and they all sprinkled dust on their heads. "O Lord God," Joshua said, "why did you ever bring the people across the Jordan to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites to be destroyed? If only we had been content to stay on the other side of the Jordan. O Lord, can I say now that Israel has turned its back and run from its enemies? When the Canaanites and all who live in the land hear about this, they will surround us in the land. Well, they surround us and wipe out our name from the earth. Then what will you do for your great name?" But the Lord said to Joshua, "Stand up. Why have you fallen on your face? Israel has sinned. They have transgressed my covenant that I commanded them, and they have taken some of what was devoted to destruction. Indeed, they have stolen and lied, and they have put these things with their own possession. This is why the Israelites cannot stand against their enemies. They will turn their backs and run from their enemies, because they themselves selves have been set apart for destruction. I will no longer be with you unless you remove from among you whatever is devoted to destruction. Get up and consecrate the people, saying, consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, for this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Among you, O Israel, there are things devoted to destruction. You cannot stand against your enemies until you remove them. In the morning, you must present yourselves tribe by tribe. The tribe that the Lord selects shall come forward, clan by clan, and the clan that the Lord selects shall come forward, family by family, and the family that the Lord selects shall come forward, man by man. The one who is caught with the things devoted to destruction must be burned along with all that belongs to him, because he has transgressed the covenant of the Lord and committed an outrage in Israel. So Joshua arose early the next morning and had Israel come forward, tribe by tribe, and the tribe of Judah was selected. He had the clans of Judah come forward, and the clans of the Zerahites was selected. He had the clan of the Zerahites come forward, and the family of Zabdi was selected. And he had the family of Zabdi come forward, man by man. And Achan, son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, was selected. So Joshua said to Achan, my son, give glory to the Lord of Israel, and make a confession to him. I urge you to tell me what you have done. Do not hide it from me. It is true, Achan replied. I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel. This is what I did. When I saw among the spoils a beautiful cloak from Shinar, 200 shekels of silver, and a bar of gold weighing 30 shekels, I coveted them and took them. They are hidden in the ground inside my tent with the silver underneath. So Joshua sent messengers who ran to the tent, and there it all was, hidden in his tent with the silver underneath. They took the things from inside the tent, brought them to Joshua and all the Israelites, and spread them out before the Lord. Then Joshua, together with all Israel, took Achan, son of Zerah, the silver, the cloak, the bar of gold, his sons and daughters, his oxen, his donkeys, and sheep, his tent, and everything else owned, and brought them to the valley of Archer. Why have you brought this trouble upon us? Said Joshua. Today the Lord will bring trouble upon you. And all Israel stoned him to death. Then they stoned the others and burned their bodies. And they heaped over Achan a large pile of rocks that remains to this day. So the Lord turned from his burning anger. Therefore, this place is called the Valley of Archer to this day.
Ooh, that was fierce. So let's go into the 8th chapter. Then the Lord said to Joshua, do not be afraid or discouraged. Take the whole army with you and go up and attack Ai. See, I have delivered into your hand the king of Ai, his people, his city, his land. And you shall do to Ai and its king as you did to Jericho and its king, except that you may carry off their plunder and live livestock for yourselves. Set up an ambush behind the city. So Joshua and the whole army set out to attack Ai. Joshua chose 30,000 mighty men of valor and sent them out at night with these orders. Pay attention. You are to lie in ambush behind the city, not too far from it. All of you must be ready. Then I and all the troops with me will advance on the city. When they come out against us, as they did the first time, they will flee from them. We will flee from them. They will pursue us until we have drawn them away from the city. For they will say, the Israelites are running away from us as they did before. So, as we flee from them, you are to rise from the ambush and seize the city. For the Lord your God will deliver it into your hand. And when you have taken the city, set it on fire. Do as the Lord has commanded. See, I have given you orders. So Joshua sent them out, and they went to the place of ambush and lay in wait between Bethel and Ai. to the west of Ai, but Joshua spent that night among the people. Joshua got up early the next morning and mobilized his men, and he and the elders of Israel marched before them up to Ai. Then all the troops who were with him marched up and approached the city. They arrived in front of Ai and camped to the north of it, with a valley between them and the city. Now Joshua had taken about 5,000 men and set up an ambush between Bethel and Ai to the west of the city. So the forces were stationed with the main camp to the north of the city and the rear guard to the west of the city. And that night Joshua went in the valley. When the king of Ai saw the Israelites, he hurried out early in the morning with the men of the city to engage them in battle at an appointed place overlooking the Arabah. But he did not know that an ambush had been set against him behind the city. Joshua and all Israel let themselves be beaten back before them, and they fled toward the wilderness. Then all the men of Ai were summoned to pursue them, and they followed Joshua and were drawn away from the city. Not a man was left in Ai or Bethel who did not go out after Israel, leaving the city wide open while they pursued Israel. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Hold out your battle lance toward Ai, for into your hand I will deliver the city." So Joshua held out his battle lance toward Ai, and as soon as he did so, the men in ambush rose quickly from their position. They rushed forward, entered the city, captured it, and immediately set it on fire. When the men of Ai turned and looked back, the smoke of the city was rising into the sea. They could not escape in any direction, and the troops who had fled to the wilderness now turned against their pursuers. When Joshua and all Israel saw the men in ambush and captured the city, and that smoke was rising from it, they turned around and struck down the men of Ai. Meanwhile, those in the ambush came out of the city against them, and the men of Ai were trapped between Israelite forces on both sides. So Israel struck them down until no survivor or fugitive remained. But they took the king of Ai alive and brought him to Joshua. When Israel had finished killing all the men of Ai who had pursued them into the field and wilderness, and when every last one of them had fallen by the sword, all the Israelites returned to Ai and put it in the sword as well. A total of 12,000 men and women fell that day, all the people of Ai. Joshua did not draw back the hand that held his battle lance until he had devoted to destruction all who lived in Ai. Israel took for themselves only the cattle and plunder of that city, as the Lord had commanded Joshua. So Joshua also burned Ai and made it a permanent heap of ruins and desolation to this day. He hung the king of Ai on a tree until evening, and at sunset Joshua commanded that they take down the body from the tree and throw it down at the entrance of the city gate. And over it they raised a large pile of rocks, which remains to this day. At the time, Joshua built an altar on Mount Ebal to the Lord, the God of Israel, just as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded the Israelites. He built it according to what is written in the book of the law of Moses. An altar of uncut stones on which no iron tool has been used, and on it they offered burnt offerings to the Lord, and they sacrificed peace offerings. And there in the presence of the Israelites, Joshua inscribed on the stones a copy of the law of Moses, which he had written. All Israel, foreigners and citizens alike, with their elders, officers, and judges, stood on both sides of the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, facing the Levitical priests who carried it. Half of the priests stood in front of the Mount Gerizim, and half of them in front of Mount Ebal, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded earlier to bless the people. of Israel. Afterward, Joshua read aloud all the words of the law and the blessings and the curses, according to all that is written in the book of the law. There was not a word of all that Moses had commanded that Joshua failed to read before the whole assembly of Israel, including the women, the little ones, and the foreigners who lived among them. We're moving to chapter 9.
Now when news of this reached all the kings west of the Jordan, those in the hill country, the foothills, and along the coast of the great sea towards Lebanon, the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, they came together to wage war against Joshua and Israel. But the people of Gibeon, having heard of what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, acted deceptively and set out as envoys, carrying on their donkeys worn out sacks and old wineskins, cracked and mended. They put worn patched sandals on their feet and threadbare clothes on their bodies, and their whole supply of bread was dry and moldy. They went to Joshua in the camp at Gilgal and said to him and the men of Israel, "We have come from a distant land, but please make a treaty with us." But the men of Israel said to the Hivites, "Perhaps you dwell near us. How can we make a treaty with you? We are your servants," they said to Joshua. Then Joshua asked them, "Who are you and where have you come from?" "Your servants have come from a very distant land," they replied, "because of the fame of the Lord your God, for we have heard the reports about him, all that he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the two kings of the Amorites beyond the Jordan, Sihon king of Heshbon and Og king of Bashan, who reigned in Ashtaroth. So the elders and inhabitants of our land told us, 'Take provisions for your journey, go to meet them, and say to them, we are your servants. Please make a treaty with us. This bread of yours was warm when we packed it at home on the day we left to come to you. But look, it is now dry and moldy. These wineskins were new when we filled them, but look, they are cracked, and these clothes and sandals are worn out from our very long journey.' Then the men of Israel sampled their provisions, but did not seek the counsel of the Lord. Joshua made a treaty of peace with them to let them live, and the leaders of the congregation swore an oath to them. 3 days after they had made the treaty with the Gibeonites, the Israelites learned that they were neighbors living among them. So the Israelites set out on the third day, arrived at their city, Gibeon, Sepharah, Beeroth, and Kiriath-Jearim. But the Israelites did not attack them, because the leaders of the congregation had sworn an oath to them by the Lord, the God of Israel, and the whole congregation grumbled against the leaders. All the leaders answered, "We have sworn an oath to them by the Lord, to God of Israel, and now we cannot touch them. This is how we will treat them. We will let them live so that no wrath will fall on us. Because of the oath we swore to them," they continued, "let them live, but let them be woodcutters and water carriers for the whole congregation." So the leaders kept their promise. When Joshua summoned the Gibeonites and said, "Why did you deceive us by telling us you live far from us, when in fact you live among us? Now therefore you are under a curse and will perpetually serve as woodcutters and water carriers for the house of my God." The Gibeonites answered, "Your servants were told clearly that the Lord your God had commanded his servant Moses to give you all the land and wipe out all the inhabitants before you. So we greatly feared our lives because of you. And that is why we have done this. Now we are in your hands. Do to us whatever seems good and right to you." So Joshua did this and delivered them from the hands of the Israelites, and they did not kill the Gibeonites. On that day, we made them woodcutters and water carriers, as they are to this day, for the congregation of the Lord and for the altar at the place he would choose.
Okay.
1 to 10.
On to 10. But before we move on, we're going to do just like a short little recap because, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to read today. And so we're going to kind of do a little short recap. I'm going to go back. We started at chapter 6. Chapter 6 was the walls of Jericho, right? So what stood out to you about the walls of Jericho and the actual walking around that journey? What stood out to you?
They walked around a wall and shouted. They walked around the wall and shouted.
Yes, God gave them a process to walk out. Sometimes it was one time around the wall. One particular time it was like
6 times and shout.
Yeah, 7 times. Seven times a shout. The whole thought process is to be obedient and do what.
Oh, that's right. Brave and obedient.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Brave and obedience. So like, and like, the interesting part to me is that what started this chapter off, what I thought was interesting is that the people were scared. The people of Jericho were actually scared of these people who weren't necessarily the biggest warriors in the whole entire world. They were scared, and so they shut down everything. There was no going in and there was no going out. And these walls were crucial walls. They wouldn't have naturally came down just because this group of people were coming against them.
Right.
These walls were known to be impenetrable.
Impenetrable, huh?
Like, that's pretty impressive.
Right.
And only God knew the vibrations of the feet, like the steps of the people walking around the place, would be, what would create the ability for this thing to fall. I actually watched one time a documentary about Jericho, and it was they talked about it, that it was kind of like a physics thing that took place. If we looked at it from a physics standpoint, the process would
power
be
sandals.
It's the vibration. The walls were dealing with vibration, and it was rhythmic vibration, kind of like sound waves. And it was breaking down little piece by little piece of the walls. But it was okay to work with the rhythmic sensation that was going on. But then, and then it would take a break, and then it would start again the next day, and then it would, take a break, and then it would start again the next day. But then on the last day, they did 7 times, which, created this whole entire rhythmic experience. And then all of a sudden, Joshua told them to shout. There was horns going off, there was sound going off, and there was force from their voice. And that actually broke the rhythm, and it created a force like no other, and kind of like what earthquakes do, and different things like that.
It was a God force.
It was a God force, only to be known and seen by God ahead of time. So even though these walls were 6 feet thick, 6 feet apart from one another, it didn't stand a chance against what God was getting ready to do and take those walls all the way down. But has anybody ever noticed that it didn't take the walls down from Rahab's house? The people were still living in the home when they came in to get them out. And so I just think that that's such an interesting thing. Like
her house already protected.
Her house was protected. It kind of in a roundabout way, when we think about the red rope or whatever you would call it.
The scarlet that they have to tie up.
Yeah. It's almost like it symbolized what we now see as the blood, right? The blood of Christ, the blood of the lamb, the blood of whatever, kind of like Passover, those types of things. It was like already protected by God. So I think that that's such an interesting thought process. They were told not to, they were told to go and do something. We see, right, God protected her and her whole entire family, not just her, but every person that was in that home.
Was in that home with her.
Right. I love that they chased down these people. They ran, they scattered, and they did what God called them to do. They were supposed to go out and defeat AI, but then we end up seeing that, along the way, we've got, we've got different things going on. So the next time it should have been a sure thing, right, to go out and fight AI and these people. But then next thing you know, one of those people went and basically they stole from God, or stole, however you want to look at that, right? They stole
stuff that needs to be destroyed.
That was supposed to be destroyed, something they shouldn't have been messing with, and they allowed their greed, their integrity to be wavered and waved, or whatever you call it. Like, it wavered, their integrity wavered, and so
they all got slapped upside the head with a rock and burnt. They had barbecue.
The thought process is, y'all, we need to be walking with integrity. Like, for real. Like, in our day and time.
Just imagine you get slapped upside the head with a rock in this day and age. he gets slapped with a rock. Like so many rock teams will get pow. Oh, that's bad. That's all I can think
well, talking about that, this has nothing to do with the Bible.
You get slapped.
When I was a little kid, these bullies were coming by my house, and me and a couple friends were standing outside.
Oh, I should have thrown rocks at these.
No, I did not. The bullies picked up a rock. Yeah, picked up a rock and tried throwing rocks at us. And we had these trees in our yard, and so someone in the front had dodged it and dove in between the trees, and the second kid didn't realize that the rock was getting, and it was like a big rock like this, and got like beat in the chest with this rock, and like literally it was so bad. It was so bad. Let's just say my mom went to that kid's house and settled the situation with the parents. Let's put it that way.
Poop rock.
And so it hurt. They had a big. It was bad. It was bad. So y'all, you don't ever want to get hit with a big old boulder, a rock, or anything else like that. I mean, half of us did jump ropes with those beads back in the day. If that hurts, you don't want the rocks. I'm just saying. You don't want the rocks. I'm just saying. Okay, so we're going to keep on going. So that family ended up
getting smoked.
They were smited.
After they got slapped with rocks.
Shut up, James. Anyways,
burn them all.
After Lord Father, let's just keep going. Let's keep going. So after that, they ended up having to basically get their lives right. Like the rest of these people are getting their lives right. They're having to be healed from after all they have seen, and their hands even have had to touch these rocks. That has to be pretty and like hard. I mean, you gotta love these people. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe they didn't. I don't know.
They couldn't go back and do fingerprints on it, though. They couldn't test it.
This is what I deal with every day. Every day. The next chapter, we're into the 9th chapter, okay? Then we're moving into the deceit of the Gibeonites. And so basically what's happening here, y'all, people were scared. Because God had already told them everybody is about to just leave this earth, right? Like, just take them all out. They're in your land, take them out, right? And then so next thing you know,
put them old sandals on.
No, then they lied, right? So they acted like they were so far from the area, and they lied and stated that,
we came all the way from the West Coast.
Yes, and wanting to do this peace treaty type thing and everything like that. And the people fell for it. The Israelites fell for it. Instead of talking to God. We get back to that statement, right?
Yeah.
All the time. I don't know. We all have this same issue quite a bit. How many times have you just said, yes, I'll do that, and you didn't refer to God? I've done it so many times. I might do it every day. Like, I'm just going to be real.
Yeah. Okay.
Forgive me, God. Forgive me. But we probably do this just quite about often. Every day.
Quite often.
And because of that, they ended up not dying. God allowed them to still be part, and Joshua allowed them, God and Joshua allowed them to still
be wood choppers and water carriers.
Right. They're just going to be slaves, be indentured servants, or whatever you want to call it at this time. But I mean, I don't know. This seems like a good job. I'm thinking.
But chapter 10 it's going to be a good chapter.
They have a good job. They're working for the Lord. Like, they went from being enemies to working for the Lord. That's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's pretty cool. I don't know. To me, that's like, man, you got the opportunity to come into this situation and come work for the Lord. Hopefully their hearts are, right. They're not being priestly, people, but like, they're working for the priest. They're working for the Levitical priest. And so they're getting to do some of the hard work. So anyways, we're moving into chapter 10, which is where we're going to pick right back up at, and then we'll get to 11, 12, and we'll do another recap of 10, 11, 12, okay? So that you guys are not getting tired. I mean, you might get tired anyways, but we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep going. So now, Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Joshua had captured Ai and devoted it to destruction, doing to Ai and its king as he had done to Jericho and its king. And the people of Gibeon had made peace with Israel and were living near them. So Adoni-Zedek and his people were greatly alarmed, because Gibeon was a great city, like one of the royal cities. It was like larger than Ai, and all of its men were mighty. Therefore, Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, sent word to Hoham, king of Hebron, Piram, king of Jarmuth, Japhia, king of Lachish, and Debir, king of Eglon, saying, come up and help me. We will attack Gibeon, because they have made peace with Joshua and the Israelites. So the 5 kings of the Amorites and the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, and Lachish, and Eglon joined forces. Joined forces and advanced with all their armies. They camped before Gibeon and made war against them. Then the men of Gibeon sent word to Joshua in the camp of Gilgal, do not abandon your servants. Come quickly and save us. Help us, because all the kings of Amorites from the hill country have joined forces against us. So Joshua and his whole army, including all the mighty men of valor, came from Gilgal. The Lord said to Joshua, do not be afraid of them, for I have delivered them into your hand. Not one of them shall stand against you.
Not one.
After marching all night from Gilgal, Joshua caught them by surprise, and the Lord threw them into confusion. Sorry, I was thinking about what it looked like. It threw them into confusion before Israel, who defeated them in great slaughter at Gibeon, pursued them along the ascent to Beth Horon, and struck them down as far as Azek and Makkedah. As they fled before Israel along the descent from Beth Horon and Azekah, the Lord cast down on them large hailstones. Large hailstones from the sky, and more of them were killed by the hailstones than by the swords of the Israelites. On the day that the Lord gave the Amorites over the Israelites, Joshua spoke to the Lord in the presence of Israel. O son, stand still. Ooh, one of my favorite parts. O sun, stand still over Gibeon. O moon, over the valley of Ajalon. And so the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, until the nation took vengeance upon its enemies. Is it not written in the book of Jeshar? So the sun stopped in the middle of the sky, and delayed going down about a full day. There has been no day like it before or since, when the Lord listened to the voice of a man, because the Lord fought for Israel. Then Joshua returned with all Israel to the camp of Gilgal. Now, the 5 kings had fled and hidden in the cave at Makkedah, and Joshua was informed, the 5 kings have been found. They are hiding in the cave at Makkedah. So Joshua said, roll large stones against the mouth of the cave and post the men there to guard them. But you do not stop there. Pursue your enemies and attack them from behind. Do not let them reach their cities, for the Lord your God has delivered them into your hand. So Joshua and the Israelites continued to inflict a terrible slaughter until they had finished them off, and the remaining survivors retreated to the fortified cities. The whole army returned safely to Joshua in the camp of Makkedah, and no one dared to utter a word against the Israelites. Then Joshua said, open the mouth of the cave and bring those 5 kings out to me. So they brought the 5 kings out of the cave, and the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon. When they had brought the kings to Joshua, he summoned all the men of Israel and said to the army commanders who had accompanied them, come here and put your feet on the necks of these kings. So the commanders came forward and put their feet on their necks. Do not be afraid or discouraged, Joshua said. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord will do this to all the enemies you fight. After this, Joshua struck down and killed the kings, and he hung their bodies on 5 trees and left them there until evening. At sunset, Joshua ordered that they be taken down from the trees and thrown into the cave in which they had hidden. The large stones were placed against the mouth of the cave, and the stones are there to this day. On that day, Joshua captured Makkedah and put it to the sword, along with its king. He devoted to destruction everyone in the city, leaving no survivors. So he did to the king of Makkedah, as he had done to the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and all Israel with him moved from Makkedah to Libnah and fought against Libnah. And the Lord had also delivered that city and its king into the hand of Israel. And Joshua put all the people to the sword, leaving no survivors. And he did to the king of Libnah as he had done to the king of Jericho. And Joshua and all Israel with him moved from Libnah to Lachish. They laid siege to it and fought against it. And the Lord delivered Lachish into the hand of Israel. And Joshua captured it on the 2nd day. And he put all the people to sword, just as he had done to Libnah. At that time, Horam, king of Jezreel, went to help Lachish. But Joshua struck him down along with his people, leaving no survivors. So Joshua moved from Lachish to Eglon, and all Israel with him. They laid siege to it and fought against it. That day they captured Eglon and put it to the sword. And Joshua devoted to destruction everyone in the city, just as he had done to Lachish. Then Joshua and all Israel went up from Eglon to Hebron and fought against it. And they captured it and put the sword to its king, all its villages, and all the people. Joshua left no survivors, just as he had done in Eglon. He devoted to destruction Hebron and everyone in it. Finally, Joshua and all Israel with him turned toward Debir and fought against it. And they captured Debir, its king, and all its villages. They put them to the sword and devoted to destruction everyone in the city, leaving no survivors. Joshua did to Debir and its king as he had done to Hebron, and as he had done to Libnah and its king. So Joshua conquered the whole region, the hill country, the Negev, the foothills, and the slopes together with all their kings, leaving no survivors. He devoted to destruction everything that breathed, just as the Lord had God and the God of Israel had commanded. Joshua conquered the area from Kadesh Barnea to Gaza, and the whole region of Goshen as far as Gibeon. And because the Lord, the God of Israel, fought for Israel, Joshua captured all these kings and their land in the campaign. Then Joshua returned with all of Israel to the camp of Gilgal. Moving into chapter 11.
I agree. Joshua is a straight warrior. You breathe wrong, you get slain.
Oh.
Out of there. They should have called Joshua out of there. Because you was getting out of there as soon as you come around here. Especially getting slapped upside the head with some snow rocks.
We're not doing this.
Chapter 11. When Jabin, king of Hazor, heard about these things, he sent word to Jobab, king of Madon, to the kings of Shimron and Ashshapha, to the kings of the north in the mountains, in the Araboth, south of Chinreth, in the foothills, and in Naphodor to the west, to the Canaanites in the east and west, to the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Jebusites in the hill country, and to the Hivites at the foot of Hermon in the land of Mishpah. So these kings came up with all their armies, a multitude as numerous as the sand on the shore, along with a great number of horses and chariots. All these kings joined forces and encamped at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid for them, for by this time tomorrow I will deliver all of them slain before Israel. You are to hamstring their horses and burn up their chariots." So by the waters of Merom, Joshua and his whole army came upon them suddenly and attacked them. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Israel, who struck them down and pursued them all the way to Greater Sidon and Mishrephoth-Maim, whatever that word is, eastward as far as the valley of Mishpah. They struck them down, leaving no survivors. Joshua treated them as the Lord had told him. He hamstrung their horses and burned up their chariots. At that time, Joshua turned back and captured Hazor and put its king to the sword. Because Hazor was formerly the head of all these kingdoms, the Israelites put everyone in Hazor to the sword, devoting them to destruction. Nothing that breathed remained, and Joshua burned down Hazor itself. Joshua captured all these kings and their cities and put them to the sword. He devoted them to destruction as Moses, the Lord's servant, had commanded. Yet Israel did not burn any of the cities built on the mounds except Hazor, which Joshua burned. The Israelites took for themselves all the plunder and livestock for these cities, but they put all the people to the sword until they had completely destroyed them, but not sparing anyone who breathed, as the Lord had commanded his servant Moses. So Moses commanded Joshua. That is what Joshua did, leaving nothing undone of all that the Lord had commanded Moses. So Joshua took this entire region, the hill country, all the Negev, all the land of Goshen, the western foothills, the Araboth, and the mountains of Israel and their foothills, from Mount Halak, which rises towards Seir, as far as Baal-Gad, in the valley of Lebanon, at the foot of Mount Hermon. He captured all their kings and struck them down, putting them to death. Joshua waged war against all these kings for a long period of time. No city made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites living in Gibeon. All others were taken to battle. For it was all the Lord to harden their hearts to engage Israel to battle, so that they would be set apart for destruction and would receive no mercy, being annihilated as the Lord had commanded Moses. At that time, Joshua proceeded to eliminate the Anakim from the from the hill country of Hebron, Deborah, and Anab, and from all the hill country of Judah and of Israel. Joshua devoted them to destruction along with their cities. No Anakim were left to the land of the Israelites, only in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod did any survive. So Joshua took the entire land in keeping with all that the Lord had spoken to Moses, and Joshua gave it as an inheritance to Israel according to the allotments to their tribes. Then the land had rest from war.
Okay. Now, we're in chapter 12. Now these are the kings of the land whom the Israelites struck down, and whose lands they took beyond the Jordan to the east, from the Arnon Valley to Mount Hermon, including the Arabah eastward. Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, he ruled from Arior, crazy, on the rim of the Arnon Valley, along the middle of the valley up to the Jabberwockies? No, not the same thing. Okay, Jabbok River, the border of the Ammonites, and that is half of Gilead, as well as the Arabah east of the Sea of Chinnereth, to the Sea of Arabah, the Salt Sea. Eastward through Beth Jeshimoth, and southward below the slopes of Pisgah. And Og, king of Bashan, one of the remnant of the Rephaim, who lived in the Ashtaroth and Edrei. He ruled over Mount Hermon, Salekah, all the Bashan, up to the border of the Geshurites and the Maccathites, and half of the Gilead to the border of Sihon, king of Heshbon. Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the Israelites had struck them down and given their land as inheritance to the Reubenites, and the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. And these are the kings of the land that Joshua and the Israelites conquered beyond the Jordan to the west, from Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak, which rises towards Seir. According to allotments to the tribes of Israel, Joshua gave them as inheritance the hill country, the foothills, the Arabah, the slopes, the wilderness, and the Negev.
The Negev.
That's his favorite. The lands of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites. The king of Jericho, 1. The king of Ai, which is near Bethel, 1. The king of Jerusalem, 1. The king of Hebron, 1. The king of Jarmuth, 1. The king of Lachish, 1. The king of Eglon, 1. The king of Gezer, 1. The king of Debir, 1. King of Geder, 1. The king of Hormah, 1. The king of Arad, 1. The king of Libnah, 1. The king of Adullam, 1. The king of Mekkedah, 1. The king of Bethel, 1. The king of Tapua, 1. The king of Hepher, 1. Heifer. Okay, 1. The king of Haphik, 1. The king of Lasharon, 1. The king of Madon, 1. The king of Hezer, 1. The king of Shimron, Meren, 1. The king of Akshaph, 1. The king of Tanakh, 1. The king of Megiddo, 1. The king of Kadesh, 1. The king of Jokneam in Carmel, 1. The king of Dor in Naphath Dor, 1. The king of Goim in Gilgal, 1. The king of Tirzah, 1. So there were 31 kings in all. Okay.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that was a good long reading.
So we're going to go back.
So review time. Chapter 10, you find out that a lot of those people got slapped upside their head with a rock. I mean, hailstone, not a rock. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was crucial. So, like, they didn't even die by the sword. Most of them, it said, died by a hailstorm.
I wonder how big the hail was.
It said, like, hold on, it went back to, oh, it didn't. It said large.
Large. You had a big old
large Marge hailstone.
Pumpkin-sized hail come down and slap you. Wow.
And if your name is Marge, I'm sorry. I'm just going by,
Pee-wee Herman. The other thing was that, the sun stood still. Scientists in today's world, they're like, the sun and the moon, that's what it said, the sun and the moon stood still. However, you go by scientists today and all that, and science, they say that's impossible because you have catastrophic things that happen, earthquakes that happen, tidal waves that happen, inertia will happen because stuff will start falling because the earth just completely stopped. To me, the earth, if the sun and moon stood still, that means the earth had to stop, right? If the earth rotates on the axis, that means the earth had to stop.
I can't tell. I can't say if it had to stop or not because we're dealing with things that defies normal things.
Defies logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, up to this point, never has there been a time where the hugest city in their world at that time had never fallen just because of some vibration.
I mean, nothing can stand up against our God.
Right? So, like, when you start taking into the concept of, is it just science? Or is it just physics? Is it just, there's nothing just about God. Right. So if he wanted
He's
it to,
out of the box type of God.
If he wanted it to stand still and not stop the earth from moving around, then so be it. Yeah. But even if the earth did stop moving, like, we can't explain everything that happens in our world.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the way I look at it. The interesting part is I heard one time, there's no truth behind it. I don't know where it came from. So just keep that in mind. I heard one time, one of the reasons why, what was it called? Apollo 13? Was it the one that made it to the moon? No, it was the first one, whatever that rocket, whatever, spaceship, whatever you want